Hey folks, hope everyone's doing well. Let's find that playlist. Where are we? I'm going to talk about this guitar a bit because you're probably surprised to see me playing this. I don't play a Strat very often. There's some good reasons. Where are we? What's today's date? There we go. That one. All right. Thought I'd do the live stream a bit earlier today because I have two rehearsals today. We have a run of the show I'm playing We Will Rock You at the moment. We actually open next week. We have a run of the show this afternoon, and then we have the full dress rehearsal tonight. So 2 3-hour calls. So it's not going to wait to do the live stream at the usual time. So yeah, go the Squire. Yeah, I thought I'd talk about Strats today because you're probably surprised to see me playing this guitar. I don't play Strats very often, and there's some good reasons. So so I thought I'd do the live stream earlier. I'm actually going to do live streams for the whole season of the show. I'm going to try and do it around this time, maybe a little earlier actually. Might suit some folks a bit better. I want to keep doing this, but I'm kind of wondering if I can do the usual sort of upload that I do. I don't think I'd be able to do that while I've got 8 shows a week doing that show. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Strat anymore. I grew up playing a Strat and I always loved Strats. I've had heaps of them. Everything from vintage Strats to, had a very early 70s one. I've had a bunch of 80s, 90s, 2000s Strats, some high-end ones, some low-end ones. This is the only Strat I own currently. And I bought this guitar as an interesting thing. I bought this as a guitar to kind of keep in the studio here. So if a student comes and they haven't got a guitar, I can go, there you go, you play that. Or say, I just need that sound, because there's something that a Strat does that I've found no other guitar does, and it's this sound between those two. That sound, and maybe neck pickup. I like those two sounds. There's some things I hate about the Strat though, and I'll talk about them today. And one of the reasons I don't play one so often. First one I'll talk about I'll talk about the good points. Let's go there first. I get that some people love Strats and the Strat is their thing. Like Corey Wong. Can you imagine Corey Wong not playing a Strat? No, me neither. Hendrix sounded great on a Strat. Stevie Ray Vaughan sounded great on a Strat. Me, I like playing other guitars, and there's some reasons why. So the first thing I like about it is these are the most comfortable guitars. Everything from this little tummy tuck to the arm thing, and you play a telly and you sort of realize that they're just not that comfortable most of the time. So I think the Strat design is the most comfortable design of a guitar, right? They sort of feel like they're kind of ergonomic, right? Ergonomically designed. What I don't like about the Strat, first thing is you don't tend to get as much sustain from a Strat as you get from more like a Gibson guitar. I mean, they generally ring pretty good, but see, it's already starting to die, and it's pretty much gone. All right, so you don't have the sustain. Now, this guitar, I've actually had the bridge put hard against the body, and it has 5 springs in it, so there's no movement in the bridge anymore, which makes it a little more, gives it a bit more sustain. The second thing I don't like about a Strat is that bridge pickup. It's just in the wrong place and the wrong kind of design for this. It's thin, generally, even with a bit of drive. That sort of sound works quite well. That was sort of a Marshall-esque type sound, but generally it's a thin sound. I much prefer a Telecaster bridge pickup. I don't know about you guys, how you feel about it. Let me know in the comments. Hopefully you're hearing all this too. Let me know if you're not. It should be all coming through good. I like the way a Strat makes me play, about how I play when I play a Strat. It makes me play a certain type of way. I find the thing with Strats is they're rhythm guitars. When I play a Strat, I want to go. kind of want to do that all night. A lot of my gigs, I'm a soloist, like if it's my own band, then I'm playing the melodies, I'm playing lots of solos, all that kind of stuff. So I find the more what I feel as a rhythm guitar, at least that's how I feel about it, doesn't suit my style and what I end up doing. And even We Will Rock You, which I'm doing at the moment, there's loads of those Brian May kind of Queen solos. But the only one that really would suit a Strat might be Crazy Little Thing Called Love. And even that is, he played on a Telecaster. So, because I think a Telecaster is better suited to that. So anyway, that took me on this quest, right? After playing heaps of Strats. Like I mentioned, I've had stacks of them. And I get why people like Strats. So I keep this one around for that reason. It's a super good, useful tool for recording. And then I bought this some years ago. The Paul Reed Smith, which some of you will have seen before, I hope. I bought this. This cost a fortune at the time. At the time, Paul Reed Smiths, they were about a $10,000 guitar. So I'm just going to tune. I hate out of tune guitars. Oh, it's really sharp. Straight away, it's fatter, isn't it? So I bought this as sort of a Strat alternative. One thing I kind of hated about Strats at the time was that everybody seemed to play a Strat. And I was like, I don't want to play the same thing as everyone else. So I bought this guitar with the idea this would be a Strat. And it's not. The P90s don't sound like Strat pickups at all. It doesn't, to me it sounds like a fat Strat, probably too fat actually. If anything, you need to wind a bit of bottom end of most of the time on this guitar. But I thought these would be, so I actually got some pickups made for this a while ago, which were Strat pickups, but mounted in a P90 cover. Looked weird as heck, but it worked. But it didn't really sound like a Strat. And there's a couple of reasons why. The big one is the scale length. This is a 25-inch scale. This is a 25.5-inch scale, and I think that's part of why Strats sound the way they sound. I think it's a big part of it, actually. They sound more percussive because of it, which to me, like I said, is why I think of this as a rhythm guitar, because it's got that percussive nature about it. The Gibson scale length is different, and then Paul Reed Smith is somewhere in the middle. So I find that the scale length makes it sound different, but I prefer that scale length. 25-inch scale length is my favorite. When I bought this guitar, someone had already taken all the finish off the neck, which is all good because I prefer that feel. I'd like to experiment with some different pickups in it, but yeah, so this was kind of my Strat alternative, and I played this for a long time. As you can see, there's a lot of fretboard wear, and you can see where I play most of the time is like this bit here is always the kind of sweet spot on a guitar. Great sounding guitar. Noisy. P90s are the worst for that. I always like that setting again, the two pickups, and again, then it becomes noiseless. So yeah, that's kind of why I've kind of fallen out of favor with Strats for me. But then I have this guitar, which is the AZ model that I played for a while, and I still do. I like this guitar. It's a great guitar. This kind of fixed a lot of those issues I had with the Strat. Let's just tune it, make sure it's in tune. Now, the thing with this guitar that I liked is it had a way better tremolo. The Strat tremolo was never particularly great. Pretty sweet little tremolo. I think it's a Goto, but I like having a humbucker there. That's to me is one of the things. Like if I I'm on a clean sound. And these are stacked single coils. So they're Damasio areas, which are my favorite single coil in terms of noise cancelling, because I only ever use this guitar when I play rock, and see, even with, that's full gain. It's quiet. So you can see it's like that. It fixes the Strat bridge pickup thing. But the thing is, you lose that combination pickup. Just doesn't sound the same, right? If I go back to the Strat, there it is. It's why I keep this guitar around, the cheap Indonesian Squire, because that thing, right? It just does that thing. So the Strat's an interesting thing for me. You know, I've liked them, but in terms of my voice, they're not really my thing. If I was going to play a Strat, I'd probably just live on the neck pickup the whole time and just do that. And actually, I've got a gig coming up in October where I'm going to be playing with the Christchurch Symphony Orchestra, and they're doing a set of Aretha Franklin's music, which should be interesting. And I'm tempted to take this guitar down, because with the Aretha stuff, it's going to be rhythm guitar most of the night down. I might get one solo probably, and if then, it's probably only. You know, for respect, like that's probably going to be the one song where I'll get that little moment, I'd imagine. So it's mostly going to be rhythm guitar. And the other thing too is if I throw this in a gig bag, I can just check it in and I don't care. Like, it's just a cheap guitar anyway that, you know, if it was broken, I wouldn't be the end of the world, but I'd rather they didn't break it. My friend Mark Lettieri was telling me that Corey Wong checks his Strat in a mono gig bag on the plane, like checks it in the hold, and I was like, wow, that's risky. So maybe I could get away with this, because like, right, put it in my mono gig bag and just check it in, and you know, that'd be kind of interesting to see. I'll play some tracks. I'm gonna play some stuff with the Strat. Where's the playlist? I found this cool track. It's from Now You Shred Backing / Jam Tracks. That's the channel. It's Nasty Funk Jam Track, Guitar Backing Track D minor. Those are all words I like to hear when I'm playing with a backing track. If you've just joined me too, please like this video. All that stuff helps. And as I mentioned earlier, I'll be doing more of these live streams. I'm thinking about doing live streams every day for the period of while I've got We Will Rock You. So that'll be kind of fun. And I'm thinking like 10 or 11 in the morning New Zealand time most days, which sort of probably is the time that suits a lot of people, but not everyone. Can't suit everyone. So yeah, I'm thinking about doing that, because with the show, 8 shows a week, it's going to be crazy busy. So anyway, here's this track. Hopefully you can hear this. Let me know if you hear the track. Right. hate that pickup. It's better. Neck pickup. Yeah, so that was just, it's a cool track actually. I like that. Nasty 70s funk jam. Those are all words I like to hear when I hear that sort of stuff. Yeah, so welcome if you've just joined me to this live stream. Strat. One thing I forgot to mention too about one things I don't like about Strats, I was saying before about the things I don't like about Strats. 21 frets. I mean, I kind of get it because it means the pickup can kind of go there. If you had a 22nd fret, the pickup would have to go down a little bit, I suppose. But yeah, 21 frets. I really like having that. A D flat on the top makes less sense to having a D. But there I hit the D flat. Kind of just bent it up till I got the note. But Stratocaster. But the thing I do get about Strats is that they're, I mean, Leo Fender got a lot of things right with his guitars, right? The Telecaster, the Stratocaster, these guitars kind of change the shape of music. Do you like Strats? Are you into Strats? Let me know if you do. Yeah, it's quite fun to play this guitar actually. This is a pretty good guitar actually. It's an Indonesian-made Squier. When I got it, I bought it off this kid for like $200, and I thought, oh yeah, that seems a decent enough deal. It was super light. I was like, wow, I like that. Like this thing barely weighs 6 and a bit pound. But I got it home and then I took it to Rob to get him to set it up, and next thing you know, the bridge is like, and then we had a look, and there was a big crack through it, and the kid obviously knew. I was like, oh well, good, well done, mate. So what I did was I got the router out and I routed out a bit of the bridge underneath the wood, and I put a new bit of maple in there and glued it in real solid, and then we put the bridge back on, and this guitar just sings now. It's way better than it ever would have been. Having that maple underneath there means it's going to have more sustain because it has a solid bridge connection now, which it never had before. Just where the bridge screws go through, there's a tiny little bit of wood here, and I don't know what this is made of. Probably some cheap lightweight wood. That it's partly why they sound a certain way. But yeah, so that improved it immensely. These are the stock pickups, and they're okay to get the job done. It's been interesting doing We Will Rock You. We're in the thick of the rehearsals at the moment. I've learned some things in doing this show. This Queen music is stuff I've played a lot, but there's a couple of things I just have to remind myself that whatever's going on with the in-ears, that trust the process, right? I don't have any control over the front of house or what's going on there, so I just trust that what I'm sending out there is going good. And we had a sound check and rehearsal last night, and in between sound check, which was the 3-hour call, then we had maybe 2 hours, and then we had another 3-hour call. The 2 hours in the middle, the sound guy was playing back the tracks from the rehearsal, because they record all the stuff into a multi-track, and then he sends it back through the desk, and then he can mix, which is brilliant, because we don't have to be there the whole time. You know what I mean? They've got the recordings of us doing it, which means also too, they can they've got, it's like the real instruments are coming back through the channels again, and they can EQ and do what they need to do. Is phase aligning the snares, because they had 2 snare mics on, and they were one on the top, one on the bottom, and so all that kind of stuff, which is, it sounded pretty awesome. But I was like, man, the sound coming out of the front of house was completely different to what I had in my in-ears. In-ears suck. They really do. I hate wearing them. I wear them when I have to, and in this case I have to, because there's no amps. But beside from that, when I do the Bohemian Rhapsody solo and when I do Who Wants to Live Forever, I have to go back out into the front, into the stage, and play those solos, right? And so when you're doing that, you have to have in-ears, because you're not going to hear otherwise. There's no guitar, there's no amp, there's no whatever, you know what I mean? So you have to run in-ears. I always find that it's always, with in-ears, it's always a compromise. There's always this... there's always a battle for what you're hearing. Do you know what I mean? So being able to stereo pan things makes a big difference. If you're running mono in-ears, it sucks even more, because now everything's battling for that center of your sound. Whereas, like, I might put some keyboards over here. I'll put the other guitar. There's 2 guitars on this. I'll put the other guitar player over here. I put the click down the middle. I'll put the bass drum, kick drum down the middle, the bass down the middle, me down the middle. Any voices I'll put to the side, so I can get separation in sound. So that helps a lot. The other thing too is I kind of, when I'm running in ears, is I often will run like quite a bit more reverb than I might have done. You can hear there's reverb on that sound. Hopefully that's coming through to you, because I find that without reverb, it's like there's no space, there's no ambience of the room, right? It's the direct sound and then straight into your ear canals. So a little bit of ambience goes a long way. But yeah, so that's one thing I've learned, and so learned how to do that. Is just trust the process, and don't try and compensate for not hearing things the way you want to hear it. That's the lesson I've learned more than anything. Because usually what I do is, if something's not right, maybe I'll dig in harder to try and make it right or whatever, and then that doesn't work, right? You just have a crappy sound. So I've been like going, okay, still keep... Even if what I'm hearing is crap, I'm still like... Still play with a light touch and a nice sound, so that you're trusting it's going to go well out the front. Because I typically play with a very light touch. Like I don't pick hard. It's light. It's one thing too with the Strat. I'm sorry to harp on about the Strat, but the thing is, like, thing I find with the Strat too is that I can't really get a jazz sound out of it that I'm happy with. I know people do. There is Near Fielder who plays the Strat. Even when you bring the tone control down, just doesn't... no, don't like it. Metalhead Blues says, ever played a 7 or 8 string? Yes, I have. I've tried them in the music shops, but I suck at playing 7 string and 8 string. I remember the first time I played a 7 string guitar, I was like, what do I do? Like, I kept hitting the wrong strings, and we judge a lot of how we view a guitar. Like, if this is an E string, we know the next string below it is the A, and got that point of reference. As soon as you have another string along the bottom, it's like your whole point of reference goes. I dig the 7 and 8 string stuff though, when people do it. Like Tosin and Bussy, I think is awesome on the 7 string. And then of course, like bands like Korn that I used to listen to back in the day, and some heavier bands like that, suits that kind of thing. I like people like Taylor Roberts, a really great guitar player who plays a 7 string in a jazz context. Taylor does a lot of solo stuff. He's an awesome player too. If you don't know him, go and check him out. But he's a lot of solo stuff. He's got a great groove, but he plays 7 string a lot, and I think that sounds awesome. It's just 7 strings not for me, and 8 string even more so. I do like the idea of extended range instruments and different stuff. I have kind of messed with that a little bit, and with my Les Paul, which is over there, I did actually put a bass string on it at one point. I got a new nut made for it, and I put I got them to cut the bottom string really wide, and I put a string on it. So then it went A. It was basically like a whole guitar, but everything was tuned up a fourth from normal. Yeah, I think that's what I did. So the bottom string was an A because an E would just be too fat, like too thick and out of place. But having an A, and then the next string would normally be an A that went up to a D. But I used an E string and tuned it down to D to get an appropriate tension that was close to the open A. And then the next string would be a D. Well, that would go up a fourth to G. Yeah, I think I used an A string again and tuned down, so I could use like the next set of string down, but down tuned to get to that the tensions felt about right and stuff. And I did some gigs doing that, duo gigs with a singer. That actually worked really well, but it kind of got crazy because like I'd have to think transposed all the time, right? The singer Gillian, she would go, what tune do you want to do? And she'd do this, call a particular tune, and I go, it's normally an F. I'd have to play in B flat, and then I'd have to be transposing like everything all night long. Kind of got a bit crazy. How does the DGT compare to a Strat? That was Metalhead Blues says, how does the DGT compare to a Strat? The DGT is way more suited to my style of playing. Like I mentioned earlier, the Strat to me feels like a rhythm instrument. I want to play rhythm guitar when I play a Strat. And if I've got a gig where I play rhythm all night, then that's awesome. The DGT to me feels like a great guitar for soloing. It just sustains for ages. It's like a Les Paul in that sense. But also having the coil tap means you can get some sort of single coil sounds. They don't really sound like a single coil, but they sound enough like a single coil that it works, you know. Far more versatile instrument, far better playing. The playing, I always find Strats, there's something about the scale length. I like the scale length up this part of the neck a little wide, and when I get on Gibson guitars, I find they're a little squashed down here especially, but even here. And then the Paul Reed Smith scale length, the 25-inch, that's my favorite. That's the sweet spot between the two that I find is best for both parts, you know, up high as well as down low. But yeah, the DGT is more suited to my style of playing for sure. I don't have it handy, it's in the gig bag. I'm going straight to rehearsal after this. We have 2 calls today, a 1:30 and then a 7. So we have the final dress rehearsal tonight, and then a sort of a tech run. It's been interesting, you know. I had to go on stage to do the Who Wants to Live Forever solo, and I run around the back of the stage, and I came out and they got a flight case out that was about knee height, and I had to step up onto this flight case with my guitar and then play the solo for Who Wants to Live Forever. But try stepping up onto a flight case in pitch black, like you can't see anything because the curtain's about to go up, you know, was pretty scary. And then even then I had to try and find, like, I couldn't see the guitar. So I'm like, where's this? And of course my rig is all back up there with the fractal. So I have to make sure everything's up, everything's ready, and my only control over sound is here, right? So I have my volume off. Normally I ride a volume pedal. So of course I'm hearing the hiss from the amp, but there's nothing I can do about it, right? And then Bohemian Rhapsody was even worse. I had to go down onto stage again and come around through, and they had this gap of maybe about this wide where I had to walk through. So I'm sort of walking through like this is my guitar. And there are these 2 giant big gates that open out on the stage. I come out and play the solo from Bohemian Rhapsody, and they said, the gates will be open. Well, they weren't. So I get there just before I'm about to play, and I'm like, these huge metal gates, trying to open that while not bang my guitar. And then, of course, it was the moment to start the solo, so I start, but I'm not at the front of the stage because there's no way I could get there when the gates were closed, right? So I'm sort of rushing up there. I'm trying to play the solo. And I'm pretty sure I played that phrase all wrong because I'm trying to play it while walking and not crash into people because there's actors everywhere and they're all around. I'm trying to get to the front. It's like, wow. And I thought, I hope this doesn't go wrong. So I have a wireless pack off the guitar, which the sound crew provided, and I have a wireless for my in-ears. So I'm actually running 2 wireless packs. Yeah. So Simon Williams, hi Simon, says best thing I ever did to a Strat was put Kinman Woodstock's pickups on it. Yeah, those Kinman pickups are great, aren't they? I've never owned a set, but I tried some at independent music in Brisbane when I was over there last. I went and had a hang with Andrew, lovely guy, and he had a Strat with Kinmans in it, and they sounded great. They sounded like Strat pickups, no noise. It's awesome. The bridge still, Simon says, the bridge still wasn't as good as a Tele or a 325. I agree. I think the tremolo system on a Strat doesn't really work that great for me. I know people that do. I know Warren, my buddy Warren Mendonza does. He's got his Strat really dialed in, but you know, if you're going to call yourself Black Strat Blues, you better be able to make a Strat tremolo work. And he does. To me, the best tremolo system I've ever seen is on Paul Reed Smith guitars. And I don't just say that because I just got the DGT. I felt that way about it with this guitar, with the bridge. And I played a bunch of them, of the core model custom 24s. I haven't played all the Paul Reed Smiths. There's a lot of them we can't get in New Zealand. I played a private stock the other day, and the bridge was just glorious. They really do it. Simon says the bridge still wasn't as good as a Tele or a 335, but the neck pickup has so much more body and character to it. Yeah, I think the best setting on a Strat is the neck pickup for me. Nah, I don't dig that. But noisy, all right? You do get the quiet positions. That I dig, right? The both position. Yeah, I mean, I know people can really make that work, and if you can, that's awesome. Yeah, but the bridge pickup, nah. Much prefer a humbucker than the bridge for me. But yeah, the neck pickup on a Strat I like. One thing I do like about single coils is they tend to be very dynamic. But it's an interesting thing, and I heard Tom Bukovac talk about this. I hope you guys are all hip to Tom Bukovac. I knew of Tom, I've never met him, but I knew of him as a session guy. He was very well established as a session musician for a long time. You know, one of the top Nashville guys. And then of course when the whole lockdown thing started, he got right into YouTube and is now doing YouTube and all kinds of stuff. Great player. But I heard him talking about a Strat and saying if you ever hear someone play and you can't really hear the guitar in the mix that well, he was like 99 times out of 100 is a Strat. It's an interesting thing, isn't it? I think there's part of that, what gets the Strat sound sparkly is this kind of that scoop mid-range thing, right? And if you think about where the guitar lives, it lives in the mid-range. And there's something about a Gibson guitar that sort of thing where even if it be something like this, that, you know, this is Ibanez, and it's a great guitar. These AR520s are awesome. One of my favorite Ibanez guitars. The Gibson in nature, aren't they? 24 3/4 scale, 2 humbuckers, fixed bridge. You know, it's got Gibson DNA in it, if you will. But you find that the Gibsons tend to sit in the mix in a way that's just because of the thicker, fuller mid-range, which is literally where guitar lives. Do coil taps really work for... Nah, they don't. I don't think it's actually possible to make a humbucker sound like a single coil. There's always going to be a compromise, isn't there? I know Lindy Fralin had a pickup where he was where one side of the coil was wound exactly like a Strat pickup and the other side was just, you know, that way when you coil tapped you got a full Strat pickup. And I thought that was kind of a cool idea. Problem there lies that the pickup is now very the two sides are not symmetrical anymore. Let's trying to get that out. The two sides aren't symmetrical anymore, so now you're compromising the humbucker, aren't you? So sort of there's no, you either want a humbucker or a single coil. So that's partly why I have so many guitars. Curious, how many guitars is the right number of guitars to own? I actually thought about doing a video about that. I might cover it tomorrow. But I guess to me it depends what you do. Maybe I could talk about that tomorrow. I'm gonna, like I said earlier, I'm gonna do live streams for the whole period of We Will Rock You, just because it's easier than doing these produced videos, which I do. And I've got 8 shows a week. It's going to be crazy. So I will live stream from here, just in the studio like this, sometime around 10 or 11 most days. If you don't catch the live stream, that's all good. Join me the following day, or check it out later on or whatever. And they won't be long videos, but I'll kind of explore different topics. But here's... Right, and if I chord tap it, so I got a neck pickup actually. Now I'll go back to the Strat. I haven't got the DGT handy, otherwise I'd do that. You can hear the Strat. It's far superior in terms of like single coil sound compared to that. But that doesn't mean that's not useful. It is. It's a useful thing to have on a guitar. So I had Metalhead Blue says I have way too many guitars, way too much guitars. Me too, right? Like, how many guitars do you really need? Yeah, maybe that's a topic, like I said, I could cover in the live stream tomorrow. But I mean, really, do you need more than one? Probably. Like, what would be the one for me? That would be a hard question, right? For We Will Rock You, the DGT, right? But then, like, another gig I have later on coming up, I mentioned earlier, was this Aretha Franklin show with the Christchurch Symphony. And they have some great singers, actually. They have the singer from Adija and Annie Kramer's singing, and Naomi and Diva Mahal. So 4 excellent singers. Amazing singers. What a treat that's going to be. But that's Aretha Franklin's music. Right sound for that. They'll probably even be better on the Telecaster on that one, because Cornell Dupree played on, some of that, a lot of that stuff, played Tele, but he had, had it modified, and yeah. So a Strat is twangy. Yeah, I agree. Two 7-string, 27-string, 2 7-string. A session musician like yourself must needs a range of guitars, but not so much for blues or jazz players, maybe. Yeah, that's true, right? If you think of Jonathan Kreisberg, for example, plays an ES 175, I think it is, pretty much all he does, right? And actually, if I think of most of my favorite guitar players, they generally have a guitar that they play all the time, right? Simon says, I play one guitar most of the time, the Tokai semi-hollow. Yeah, that Tokai is great. That's a nice guitar you've got, Simon. Yeah, I'm the same though. I probably, I change guitars around, but there's the same kind of ones I tend to go back to. At the moment, that's the DGT, and that's mostly, I guess, because the DGT is new. But I'm also kind of, that ticks a lot of boxes for me for what I do with my style of playing. And that might change. I play the Tele a lot at the moment. I play, this guitar's seen a lot of action with me, as you'll have all seen it before. It's a great guitar. I really like that guitar. This for certain things, but not so much. But the one thing I like about the DGT is that I can do a lot of different things with it with one guitar. Right, it's a super versatile instrument. And people always talk about the Strat with the humbucker and the bridge being super versatile. And it is. But I feel like the DGT does more of the things I want better. Right? Which is an interesting, and I think that's where it comes down. It's really a personal thing, isn't it? So I had a question about that New Orleans thing that I posted yesterday, which thank you very much for all your kind comments too. That was awesome. If you haven't seen it, it was just like a blues backing track with a New Orleans kind of funky kind of groove thing, and very some kind of thing that Sko has gone into, although that's definitely not his thing. He does a lot of things, and the New Orleans thing is, but there was some stuff I got into in that track, and I always find that when I'm playing in those sort of things, there's a bit more scope. especially because it's a blues and it's kind of funky. You can kind of get into some... So it's sort of riff-based stuff like that. Like even when it's your solo, you might jump back into something like that and then come back into some more lines. You can sort of weave chords a little more because it's acceptable to play. If you just join me too, like the video, that really helps. And subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Because it's kind of got some sort of jazz-ish type stuff by nature, you can kind of get into some of that territory. So I'll get into stuff like playing B flat 7. And then like E7 to lead to the E flat. You know, and maybe even A7 to get me back to the B flat. Sort of stuff, right? Or B flat altered to get me to the E flat. Or even like 2, 5, 1 to get back to there. Even though those aren't the chord changes in there. I checked back on that video. I don't typically watch my stuff back. Like once I'm done, I'll just make sure it's all worked and everything's fine. There's no problem. And then I move on. I don't tend to look back. But I did notice, when I had that question, I went back and watched it and noticed there were some things that I did, like the whole tone thing from F. To get you back to the B flat. That's kind of a cool thing to do on the 5 chord. Of course, I got into 5 chord altered stuff. Metalhead Blue says, what guitar will you never sell? Good question, isn't it? Would I sell this guitar? Yeah. Like I said earlier, I'd be happy to travel with this guitar in a gig bag and check it in on the plane and whatever happens to it. This guitar, I don't think I'd ever sell. This guitar was one of the guitars that I started my career on as a professional musician. It was the first kind of serious instrument I ever bought. So this guitar is staying with me. I don't always play it. It's not always the right sound, you know, having P90s, but it is one guitar that I'll always have here. My Telecaster's one like that too. I haven't got it, it's handy, it's upstairs, but I got my daughter to draw her hand right here, and one day I'll give it to her. So that's an instrument that I'll keep. The old Gibson, the L4 I'll always keep. The SCO guitar, I think I'll always keep. All of them really. I don't see any guitars that I want to sell right now. Like I'm just going to hang on to stuff. My buddy Warren Mendonza I mentioned earlier, aka Blackstrap Blues, had a good saying that I thought was really funny. By the way, we do a podcast too every week, Warren and I. It's on his channel. So if you go to Blackstrap Blues, you can hear the podcast. We talk guitars and we talk shit and just chew the fat. It's great fun. He's a great guitar player and knows a lot about music and gear and stuff. Anyway, Warren had this great saying that the right amount of guitars is to have enough guitars so that, you know, if you get to a point where you're feeling stale, you can grab another guitar and go, oh, look at this. Brand new guitar, and you play it for a while because you'd forgotten it was even there, and then you play it for a while and that kind of inspires something, right? 2:30 in the morning there. Oh, thank you so much for tuning in. That's awesome. Maybe my playing might help put you to sleep if you can't sleep at night, right? Maybe I should be... No, I can't believe it is not. Usually it's when you are live. Oh, well, thank you so much for tuning in. It's awesome. Hi, Perfect Speller. Hi, everyone. Hi. Thanks so much for joining me. If you just tuned in, hit the like button. All that stuff helps. And subscribe if you haven't already. So I was kind of talking about the Strat earlier and about why I'm something you won't see me playing very often. think part of it too is that I'm kind of scared of treble. I remember doing a session for someone once, and he said to me, the composer of this was a documentary, and he said to me, he goes, man, the sound's just a little warm. And I was like, yeah, like that's what I'm going for. And he was like, yeah, I kind of want it to have a bit more bite. So I turned the treble up to where he was happy with it, because he wanted it, a bit more like he wanted it to me what was really edgy. And I was like, okay, like do what you're told, right? In those circumstances, it's his project. He gets what he wants. But I was like, to me, it just didn't sound good. So I was like, and as I mentioned earlier, this is one of the reasons I bought this guitar. It was like, it's sort of like a Strat, but not really. Or at least that's how I saw it, like a fat Strat. And I might still get some different pickups in here. I'd love to put a set of Mr. Glynns in there. I reckon some vintagey P90s would probably suit this guitar better, because these are pretty hot. They're about 10k output, so they're like really hot P90s. They're ceramic magnet. I wonder if you can just change them to Alnico magnet. I should ask them and see. Just slide a new magnet in there. That might do it rather than actually having to replace the pickups, because they work. I'm going to play another track. This says smooth funk guitar backing track in B minor. Smooth jazz. Where I come from, smooth jazz is a dirty word. People don't like, a lot of players are like smooth jazz. I totally get it if people are into it. And in fact, I know some smooth jazz artists who are really great musicians. I think around here it's like seen as a thing that's kind of insincere. I don't take that stance to it. It's like, if someone plays great, who cares? So anyway, smooth jazz funk guitar backing track in B minor. I like B minor. I don't play in B minor very often, but when there's few tunes I really play B minor is when it happens, is that Nile Rodgers thing. That's like a B minor thing. So this track is by Samurai Jam Tracks. Whoever Samurai Jam Tracks is. We'll give it a go. You should be able to hear the track. Hopefully you can. Go to the Strat, Is it still a Strat if it's a Squire? Yeah, so it works, right, for a certain thing. And as you saw there, like I just fell back into playing some rhythm guitar because I always feel with the Strat, feels like a rhythm guitar to me, at least anyway. So I wonder how you all feel about that. Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, that I'm gonna, for the next couple of weeks while I'm doing We'll Rock You, I'm gonna do live streams every day instead of doing the daily uploads. If I get a chance to do a daily upload, Simon says, "Go, yeah, go, Larry." Thanks. I was right into Larry Carlton for a while there. I still am. You know, things like Kid Charlemagne, still one of my favorite guitar solos. Brilliant. You know. I mean, to improvise something like that, wow, Larry was the man, you know. Still is. He's amazing. Yeah, the Squire works. It does, doesn't it? I don't know what year this is. It's an Indonesian, crafted in Indonesia. It says it's a Squire Bullet Strats. The weighs nothing, barely over like 6 pound and a bit. It's a super light Strat. It's kind of one of the. It's not a real thick body. It's kind of on the thinner side, which I appreciate. I like light guitars. I don't like heavy guitars anymore. I just can't do it, you know, with my back. I dislocated my collarbone as a teenager, and so now my back muscle makes up for it over time, and I can't have heavy guitars on here anymore. It just doesn't work. So light guitar like this. So this guitar just sits around in the studio now. That's what I bought it for. I bought it for like a couple of $100 off some kid. I had to get a bit of work done on it to get it to work. But it's a workhorse for just here. Like I use it if I need that Strat sound. It does that way better than any of the others. This guitar here has noiseless pickups in it, so I use this for when I want to play rock gigs and I need that kind of thing. The noiseless don't really sound like single coils, but they're 99.9% of the way there. But when I'm in the studio, these are 100% of the way there. It sounds like a Strat, right? Like it just. And also too, often when I'm tracking stuff for people for sessions, I often will like put down a guitar part, say with something like any of these other instruments, and then maybe I'll double that, right? So they can have one left and one right. But then I always find like it's a good idea to give them another option right down the middle. You know, like another sound. And generally that's a Strat or a Tele or some kind of guitar that does that sort of like a brighter kind of perspective. Because sometimes they might just add that little bit in just to have, you know, a little bit of sparkle. This one here, no, these are the standard pickups that came in it, and they're okay. They sound like Strat pickups. This one here, this has noiseless pickups. These are Damasio areas. 2 Damasio areas, and then the bridge pickup is Mr. Glenn's. I would have gone for Mr. Glenn's in the other positions, but Glenn doesn't make a noiseless pickup. He makes Strat pickups, which I might still put in. You know, I reckon this guitar might actually be better without the noiseless in it. I like the Damasio areas, and you know, it's nice to be able to have like noiseless pickups, but I find that, you know, they don't sound as good as the real Strat pickup. They're close, but they're not quite there. And also too, I just don't play this guitar that much. Like, I'd rather play the DGT, which is what I'm playing at the moment for the show. And then I can, you know, have that be a Strat. Yeah, the Damasio areas, I think it's a 58 and a 61. They're the best of the noiseless pickups that I've found. The Kinmans are pretty good. I've never owned a set, but I've played a couple before, and we talked about that earlier in the live stream. The Kinmans are really good. What other? I've tried a couple of Seymour Duncans. I think they were noiseless. Didn't dig them. Actually, Andy Fuchs, who makes great amps, Andy, he had a guitar, I think, that was single coil noiseless, and they had this sort of, like, it was split in 2 halves, and that was how it made it single coil. Those sounded really good, whatever they were, but I wasn't sure if they sounded good because he was playing them through one of his killer amps, which is still one of the best amps I've ever heard. That amp was incredible. Fuchs, I think it's ODS 2, maybe. Sounded amazing. I'm gonna have to go, folks. I've got 2 rehearsals today. We've got one starting in an hour and a half. So I'm gonna get down to the theatre, go and set up, and it's a big setup for me because I need to, you know, get all the in-ears running, and then I got wireless for the guitar as well, get the instruments out, tuned, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, we open for We Will Rock You on Thursday. I think Wednesday is the preview performance, and there's cheaper tickets if you want to go to that. I think they're $58 for the preview night, which will be awesome. It'll be great fun, and you get to see me in my element playing the Brian May stuff, which is great fun. I had a listen after sound check yesterday. The sound guys recorded the rehearsal, and then they played that back through the system, and the guitars are way out front, like way out front, which never happens, right? Normally, musical theatre, the standard way of mixing is loads of drums, loads of vocals, not much else. You might have a ripping guitar solo and they mix it right down, and you're kind of like, come on. I get it, because, you know, the singers, you know, if you got 40 of them on stage and they're all on those headset mics, it gets hard to you know, to push them up without feedback. And I guess their idea of mixing is that they go, well, as long as I have drums, we have some sense of rhythm. And then if I have vocals, you have sense of the lyrics and the words and the melody. And that's kind of where they prioritize things. But to me, it's like if somebody's taking a solo, push it up. But on this show, it's a rock show, so they're Simon says, good luck with the rehearsal. That walking around business sounds scary. Yeah, it was kind of scary, like trying to play that Bohemian Rhapsody solo while walking. It was kind of weird. And then actually the worst bit was when I got out the back, there were all these actors, and they were all getting their costumes on, and they had people like pulling things over them and doing makeup and all that, and I had to try and find a path through all these people in the pitch black. And I crashed into someone at one point. I'm holding my guitar at this, I'm like, sorry, like trying to get through everyone, and I had 4 bars break, and then I had to play, so I was like trying to play while getting through these people playing my parts. It's still going out the front house. And then I got to the stairs, because we're on a raised platform up the top, you know, and so I went up this, trying to walk up the stairs while playing these guitar parts, you know. That's the challenge, isn't it? You know, and I used to say this to students when I taught at the university was, it's not, can you play the guitar part in the perfect conditions? What can you do if everything kind of is against you, right? You're doing an outdoor gig, and all of a sudden all your music blows away. Let's see where you're really at that point. Or the classic trick that I've seen before, where you get 2 pages of music and the 3rd page has been taped up upside down by somebody, right? So you read your first 2 pages, and then you flick over and you realize there's a page upside down. It's a cruel trick, but some people do it. You know, and then where you at? Like, where can you still make music? Because it's on you. You know what I mean? Anyway, Thanks so much for tuning in. Like I said, I'm going to do live streams every day for the next couple of weeks, and a different topic of each of them. I think tomorrow I'll discuss how many guitars we should have, depending on what you do, and some sort of general advice around that. So that might be useful to people. Everybody should have 10,000 guitars. That's it. in a perfect world. Thanks so much for joining me. Have a great day, everyone. See you soon.